Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show that was not supposed to happen. I should be on a 2 week sabbatical, but I can't be because I had the displeasure of experiencing probably one of the worst debates I have ever seen in my entire life. But before we get to that, and let our guests reintroduce themselves, but they've both appeared before. Please remember to visit, and I'm going to bring the site up, CornelWest2024.com. Watch a candidate that can speak and not lie straight out of his mouth. Watch someone that can put a sentence together and not ramble and ramble and ramble and ramble. Support this candidate. He's literally the best shot that we have of any of the duopoly. I have so many thoughts about the travesty that I saw today. Because I didn't watch it when it originally aired, I said, I'm going to just go back. But after watching clips, I was like, I got to do a show on this and have supporters of Dr. West respond. So, and remember, everybody, remember to like this podcast, share it, please comment. Please, 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 please comment. We're going to definitely need your comments tonight because, again, I announced Thursday that I was going live, and somebody was like, but you said 2 weeks. Don't listen to me anymore when I say that, right? Just throw that away because stuff like this keeps happening, and I have to respond to it because as Dr. West's number one supporter, because I've given myself that title, I had to. I could not let this go. So we're going to get started. I am going to try to share some clips to kind of show the lowlights. But first, I don't know which one of you guys wants to start first. But what were your overall thoughts about the supposed debate where CNN changed all the rules?
So I'm Johnny P. Thanks for having me, Tracy. And honestly, I think it was both terrible and lived up exactly to expectations. Both of them were as terrible as we remember. And the last 4 years since the last time we saw them have not been kind to either of them. So trash policies and trash delivery.
Timothy?
At this point, it's become comedy. I mean, there's absolutely nothing beneficial that's coming out of the mainstream media when it comes to politics. It's all about smoke and mirrors. There's absolutely nothing being told that's the truth.
And let me, before I say what my thoughts are, we're going to play a little game at the end called What Signs Can Dr. West Make into, like, those, the things you put in your yard signs, creative yard signs. We'll play that at the end, and then I might sing a song. I might sing a song that fits this particular occasion. So, my first thought, could anybody hear Biden speak? I had the most difficult time. I kept going, wait a minute, let me get real close. And my hearing is good. I have good hearing. I got good hearing going. I don't know if he was mumbling or he was speaking so low that I just couldn't hear anything he said hardly. And jump in whenever you want to.
I'll be honest. I've kept my ear to the street and every now and again listen to a little bit of mumble rap. So it just seemed normal to me.
That isn't even mumble rap. It was like, and he spoke like this. And he's got that eye squinting problem that I can't stand. Like, dude, open your eyes. He just did this the whole time.
I'm dying to pick on something else he did, but we're not there yet.
And how many lies can these two people tell? Could they make any truthful statement? I heard more lies. Now, I'm not going to get into why I think this is perfect payback for the Democrats on this channel. I'm going to do that on Tuesday because I got a whole thing. This show is about, as a Dr. West supporter, how I think he would have done if he were on that debate stage. I think he would have been clearly, he clearly would have wiped the floor with these two. Clearly. Again, jump in whenever you want to.
From my perspective, I clearly thought that the biggest thing missing was the way that the debate was structured. They were kind of softball questions set up for each candidate. They were perfectly happy with candidates completely ignoring the question and going on about other topics, and then being redirected with 5 seconds left to say, "Oh, and yeah." They didn't respond to the questions most of the time. One thing I liked about the debate is that they had a split screen while they were answering, and it was amusing as could be to watch in real time, knowing that everything coming out of Trump's mouth was just entirely wrong, lie after lie after lie, which is, same thing out of Biden's mouth. But as it was coming out of Trump's mouth, we got the split screen looking at Biden and his face just bizarre, like, how is this happening to me? How am I losing to this numbskull? It was funny.
I got some thoughts on that. John, go ahead.
Well, first with the squinting, yeah, that makes for some bad TV. And the mumbling, I mean, it's just the train wreck you can't look away from, but you really don't want to hear what he has to say either. But not only does he not have anything to say, he can't hardly deliver it. So yeah, it was as bad as we all saw it. Thought it would be.
And welcome, Mr. Meadows. How are you doing? I'm glad you got on. We were talking about our overall thoughts about the debate and how we wanted Dr. West to be a part of the debates. Going by their own rules, this should have been a 4-person debate. It should have been Trump, Biden. Well, they haven't even gotten their nominations yet. So basically, it should have been Trump, Biden, Stein, West. No, wait a minute, let me backtrack. It should have been Trump, Biden, RFK, West. If we're looking at who has states, but you might want to throw one Stein, but this show is about Dr. West, so I'm gonna just insert his name anyway.
Absolutely, Dr. West should have been included. All of the candidates who are collecting, and that's when we start talking about major and minor parties in this country. We really should just make that metric about ballot access, because that's really what it comes down to. Now, they make it hard enough to get ballot access, but they still have us talking third party. That's an op. That type of jargon, us just saying the word third party, that's an op. We shouldn't use that kind of language. We should actually be saying extra duopoly or find our own language for it. But third party is just making us think that's that ceiling. We got the first past the post. But I'm getting off track. I first of all want to say, Tracy, thank you for inviting me on. I appreciate your hospitality. I apologize for my tardiness. I was having a Wi-Fi issue, and I couldn't even get my, even I tried several different browsers. I couldn't get my laptop to connect with you, which I used last time. Weird, but I'm talking to you from my phone. I was able to connect through, not even Google. Google wouldn't connect me. We are highly oppressed, my friends. And thank you for being in our presence and inviting us on. Tracy, Timothy, John. Hey, good to see all y'all tonight.
Yeah, and you don't know this, and do you prefer me to call you Dave or I don't know what to ever call you.
You can call me Dave, David.
Okay, Dave.
The ego, the super ego.
I'm not gonna call you that. I'll just call you Dave. We're gonna play a game at the end called Creative Yard Signs that the West campaign should make about this debate. And I may sing a song if I feel like it, because yeah, but Just put your comments in the section. Here's what I'll do. For the people watching live, if you want me to sing, put a yes in the comments. If you're like, ooh, no, we don't really need to hear that, put a no. But the thing that just impressed me, the thing I wish people, and I put this on my Facebook page. Oh, Dave went away. I wish people would listen to me. I've been saying ever since these two announced their candidacy, we can do better than this. We can literally do better than this. Vote, and I know Dave said don't say third party, but that's what everybody says. Vote against the duopoly, right? Vote for something else. Vote for a candidate that actually is advocating for you. This debate should have woke in Americans to say, you know what? We can do better than this. It's probably not, but it should have. And again, I'm not going to keep saying this. Y'all can just jump in anytime y'all want.
Well, I just got finished watching the debates. I hadn't got a chance to see it yet because I was at the protest in Atlanta last night. Or was it? It's night before last, rather, on Thursday night. There was a big Atlanta for Palestine protest. There was people from the ATL-DSA, the Housing Justice League, Jewish Voice for Peace, and even PSL. Claudia Dela Cruz was there, and I met two presidential candidates there at that protest. Claudia, as well as literally anyone else. And that's a real person who's really running, and he's really out there collecting signatures. Literally anyone else.
Okay, I had to get that in my head.
But I just finished watching it, and boy, I want to put this out front, and this is a prevailing conspiracy theory that I personally subscribe to. I'm willing to say it when it's just conjecture, and at this point, that's what it is. I think this, and part of the whole ruse of doing this without the Commission on Presidential Debates and doing it earlier than normal before they are actually the nominees, was specifically to move Joe Biden out of the way, because they know it's too obvious to the rest of the world, especially after that D-Day celebration, that, as Dr. West puts it, Joe doesn't have both paddles in the water. And it's just clear to everyone now, and they're going to move him out at the convention. That's my projection. It may happen or may not, but that's what I feel is going to happen.
Oh, I want you to be on my Tuesday show, because I'm going to talk about I have thoughts about the debate, but since this is specifically about Dr. West, I don't want to share them here. But I will be talking Thursday about what I think in a deeper manner.
Sure.
Because you said some things that had me thinking. I'll put it that way. Did anybody notice how slowly Joe Biden walked? Or was just me? Because I know, I go to church, so I know a lot of people in their 80s and their 90s. They don't walk that slow. I mean, they're like walking like regular. I'm like, was it just me wanting to see something bad, or was this something that was I imagining this? Was I making this up?
I got the impression that for whatever reason, after the talk about doing drug test prior, that they both laid off the drugs, because neither of them were as awake and with it as they have been other times and for other speeches. I mean, certainly he was all wound up and ready to go when he did the State of the Union, I believe it was. So it's like they changed whatever his drugs are, because he's clearly on something. And you didn't notice, like normally you see Trump sniffing constantly. He didn't seem to be sniffing. So it seems like whatever drugs they're on, they've changed their drug routines. And I'm just disappointed that they didn't actually follow through and do the drug test so we could figure out what the hell they're both on. Excuse my language.
Yeah,
if that's
and
a
I'm
bad
trying to find first clip here. So if you don't see me, that's what I'm trying to do. But I kept wondering what the heck was wrong with CNN. They literally just let all the lies fly. They were just like, "What truth? What is that? I don't have any. What? Just let them just fly. Just let all the lies from both of them. Both of them clearly were lying, and they just said nothing. Like, okay, this is normal."
I mean, I think there's one thing that I saw at the debate, aside from just the two people that were answering the questions. It was the way that the questions were being asked and the way that it was all being framed was very much from a white supremacy background. There's no question that that's where it was coming from. And it's the same thing that you see when you see Jill Stein out here talking about ballot access as if she somehow owns the ballot access for the Green Party, that it's her birthright or something. Like, you happen to walk into a bunch of ballot access as opposed to building it yourself, Dr. Stein. That's got nothing to do with what's actually being done here on the ground by Doctors West and Abdullah. There's no question that when it comes to the duopoly isn't just two candidates. The duopoly is bigger than that at this point, because RFK Jr. is clearly a member of the duopoly, and it's starting to appear more and more, based on the attacks coming from Dr. Stein, that the intention is for the white candidates to push the candidates of color out.
So we're gonna just take it that Tim is not a Dr. Stein fan. That's what we're gonna pretty much. We're gonna just pretty much establish that at the baseline. I have found a clip, and this worked Thursday.
I have met her. I have met her. I've taken pictures with her, and I voted for her.
Yeah, but that statement, I'm like, okay, you went.
Times have changed. Bernie is now supporting genocide.
True, but I have a clip that I want to show of the debate. So I'm going to try to count in my head 30 seconds because that's about as much as I can share without getting a Facebook hit, because I don't have money to pay CNN. So it could be either 30 or 35 seconds, somewhere in there. It's not going to be too long. Oh, let me backtrack this. This is for educational debate purposes only. It is not my intent to make money off of this. This is to share commentary. Thank you very much. So let me figure out if I can do this. No. Of course I pressed the wrong button. Okay. Oh, yep, there we go. Yes. Okay.
Place number one. Number two, we got over 100,000 Americans and others out of Afghanistan during that airlift. Number three, we found ourselves in a situation where, if you take a look at what Trump did in Ukraine, this guy told Trump, do whatever you want, and do whatever you want. And that's exactly what Trump did to Putin, encourage him, do whatever you want. And he went in. Listen to what he said when he went in. He was going to take Kyiv in 5 days, remember? Because it's part of the old Soviet Union. That's what he wanted to reestablish, Kyiv. And he, in fact, didn't do it at all. He wasn't able to get it done. And they've lost thousands and thousands of troops.
Did you guys see that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody tell me, why did they let Biden on the stage? I mean, anybody. Just anybody tell me. No conspiracy theories, Dave. Why did they think, hey, let's put this guy. You see that? You see that? Somebody talk me down, because this made me highly upset. This debate highly upset me.
Yeah. Now aside from not being able to get a thought out and rambling, he is outright lying. And I think one of the biggest travesties of the mainstream coverage of this, I've seen everywhere. The fact check on Trump, fact check on Trump. Granted, it's out there. Pay attention to it. Fact checks are important. I have not seen too many people. I've heard Dr. West call out Biden for lying, but I have not seen mainstream media call out any fact checking on Joe Biden at all whatsoever. And some of it, it's not just his memory, it's just straight lying.
Oh, he was straight lining that clip. I'm like, huh? What? And at this point, everyone, visit CornelWest2024.com. Again, America, this should teach you that us that support Dr. West, we were not lying. These two people don't deserve to be president at all. Go learn about a candidate that actually has an actual plan for this country. CornelWest2024.com. Before we move on, is there anything anybody else wants to say?
I mean,
I wanted.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, please. No, please go ahead.
I was gonna say it would make sense if one or the other of them was running for the first time, and you could say, okay, this one has experience, and this is what they've done wrong, and this is what we're deciding between. But they've both done the presidency now, and they both suck.
Have we ever
They
had a
both lie.
good president? Have we ever had a good president?
In my lifetime, I have to go back to my early childhood, to Jimmy Carter, and he was not liked. He didn't get reelected. He put himself in a position with Iran that just didn't work out well for him. But as far as having morals, at least in respect to what he's done since leaving the presidency, there's no question that he's the only remotely moral one that we've had in my lifetime.
That is 1 out of 46. 1 out of 46. You can't really count Kennedy because he got assassinated 2 years in.
I would probably throw in the other abolitionist. So aside from our abolitionist that we're supporting in Dr. Cornel West, Abraham Lincoln would qualify as an abolitionist, and on whole, I would say that he was a somewhat moral person. I think that he was very much pushed and dragged to where he got, but comparatively speaking, I would suggest that he's somewhat moral of a person.
I would agree with those statements, Tim. I did want to touch back on, you asked Tracy, why would they let him on the stage? And Tim, you indicated you think they may have laid off the substances. I can't speak to Trump. I haven't paid that much attention. I think I do agree with you that I didn't see him as much. But now when it came to, bless you. When it came to Biden, I could tell he was on something. But you notice at the State of the Union, he was on a cocktail for sure because he was fired up. But when you, and that's not something they give you on a regular basis because it wears off over time. It's not going to have the same effect. And I think we saw him hit the wall in this debate. You could tell by his rhythm of breathing. If you just noticed the way he breathed, it was sort of erratic. And he had sort of like the deers in the headlight look. He was somewhat overwhelmed by whatever they put him on, I think. And it didn't hit him the same way. And also, maybe if Trump was on something, it's the same thing. But I know his personality is this. Both of their debate performances suffered from a lack of an audience. And I think anyone's would. I think an audience is a natural thing to have in a debate. And speaking for us that were in Atlanta who tried to go to the debate, who were there to protest the debate, they wouldn't let us within 10 blocks. They had police shut down 10th Street all the way down from Spring. All right. So you couldn't get over in that area. High security. So they're trying to keep people who are supposed to be leading us from the people who are supposed to be the ones who they are leading. And I think that's just a bad recipe right there. They should have had an audience.
Any thoughts on that, John? Any thoughts? Because I got thoughts on the audience.
I think at this point in the game, they're worried that in the audience would be pro-Palestinian, to jump in, or, they love their civility politics, and the MAGA folks have abandoned that, so they'll stand up and shout them down like a Marjorie Taylor Greene or something. I wanted to circle back on the presidents. Has there ever been a good one? Not for regular people, right? I have this theory that every president we've ever had, while they're sitting in that chair, is the worst president we've ever had. Of course, as soon as you step out of office, you get beaten. So we've got the worst president, or Emperor Biden is the worst president we've ever had, and former Emperor Trump is the second worst president we've ever had. Whoever gets a second term is going to, set the new bar for worst president we've ever had. Tough to speculate on the drugs, but I mean, the difference between State of the Union and Thursday night Biden was night and day. And I think the deer in the headlights was perfect for what it is. I think he's tired and he doesn't want to do it. I think he thought they were going to replace him, well before this. But I also think he's on like some monkey's paw shit, if you remember that, where you
No
get the wish that
cursing.
always turns against you. But so he wished on the monkey's paw in 1988 to be president, and he got it, but just after he was too old to enjoy it or be effective.
Those are interesting thoughts. And again, I will expand on those on my Tuesday show, because there's some things that I want to stretch out and really talk about. Like, I think, well, I'll just say it. I think payback. I think Joe Biden will be the nominee. I can't see him dropping. He's already said the day after he's not dropping out. I think they're stuck with him. I literally think they're stuck with him. I don't see him dropping out. I literally don't. I think this debate, the fact, well, I'll get to that later.
I think
Remember
Gavin
the
Newsom,
DNC fraud lawsuit. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tim.
I think Gavin Newsom had a response, and he more or less put himself out there like, hey, I'm ready to step in. And for whatever reason, the Democrats didn't coalesce and say, okay, let's do this. I think they still have time between now and their convention to do something stupid where they switch it with Gavin Newsom. But I can't imagine anyone at all stepping in besides Gavin Newsom at this point. And I think there could be a problem with replacing Biden with Gavin Newsom and leaving Kamala Harris there.
You can't leave her
Because
off. She's been on
how
all
you-
the ballots.
Well, here's the problem. If she's the number two and the number one falls down, she's supposed to step up. And there's nobody in their right mind who's considering her to step up, which means they've got a big problem.
Which they created themselves.
Absolutely.
You see,
That's
dirty
fine with me.
politics. This is again why you should support the Justice for All party. Because these type of political games are just ignorant. They cause their own problem. And people out there watching, because I can see who's watching, comment in the comment section. I'm trying to stretch this out so I don't have to sing. And that's a question. Should I sing the song that I have in mind? Yes or
Yes.
no? Not y'all. But the people watching, your votes don't count. In this case, your votes don't count. It's a yes, Tracy, we want you to sing your song, or no, we don't want you. We don't want you to sing. Here's a question that I want to ask. I want to see Dr. West debate. Period. Do you think that's going to happen? And not necessarily with Joe Biden and Donald Trump, just any debate. Everybody jump in.
If they do what I'm thinking they're going to do, then they're going to have Gavin or whoever the other candidate steps in debate, because they're going to have to prove the candidate. So
No, I'm asking with Dr. West debate.
I know.
Oh, okay.
And I hope that we have the polling at that point, we should. I mean, if we kick this campaign into high gear, if we keep getting ballots access in states, uh, week by week, we have another state. So if we continue with our momentum, we will be polling higher, and we should be on the debate stage. Dr. West's campaign, Dr. West himself should be there to speak the message that he's bringing forward to the American people. So yes, we should. Dr. West's campaign should be represented at the campaign.
Anybody?
I
At the
had to,
debate.
if I had to speculate, when I grew up, the debates were run by the League of Women Voters, and they no longer are. And they were taken over intentionally, I want to say after 1992, if I'm not mistaken, because they included a additional party on the debate stage when they included Rossborough. They do not want to do that in a general election debate again. So my guess is that if and when we get a chance to see Dr. West debate again, it will be on a stage without the Democratic and Republican nominees.
I have to agree with that. I definitely agree with that.
Probably, but he should be on the stage.
I mean, he should be.
Should be.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Um,
should be. The League of Women Voters, I don't know how they get how they lost control of that. Like how that all happened. I'm like, well, why can't you just y'all saying money, but
yeah,
technically
they got co-opted.
the League of Women Voters still exists, right?
Yes.
Okay, couldn't they just have a debate?
They could.
They should.
They
with
could.
independents.
So we're saying this is in the realm of possibilities. They could have a debate.
I met
Yeah.
some League of Women Voters folks at an action on Tuesday, a rally. They're good-hearted people. You know, you can't knock the hustle. Might knock the politics a little bit, or at least engage in a fruitful conversation, but can't knock the hustle. They're out there doing their thing.
Yeah, I'm like, well, why can't they just sponsor a debate? It's not going to be on TV, but it could be on C-SPAN. It could be on what's that one with Chris Cuomo? That station that he's on. Y'all know which one I'm talking
Isn't that
about.
Patrick Bet David, and he's on his network.
Yeah, that network. It could be on.
I haven't watched him. I've only seen his third, coverage of him being on those shows. I haven't really watched.
Yeah. Oh, and we got one vote here. Yes,
And
I want you to sing "Don't Mess Us Up, Tracy." So we got one. I need 3 more before I'll agree to do it. But I'm like, well,
You got
why
3
can't
more on the screen.
the screen votes don't count? I'm like, why can't us as citizens, like regular citizens, like say, hey, we're gonna rent this place. We're gonna I'm not sure I like public in because people tend to act a fool when they get in public. But okay, you can have a small audience. Like, why can't that be done?
It can. You need to get the other groups to agree to it. As a matter of fact, though, earlier in this term, there was a third-party vote or a third-party candidate. I'm saying too. An extra duopoly candidates debate held.
Yes,
by,
but Dr.
group
West
called
wasn't
Free
in it.
Global.
Yeah,
He
I
wasn't.
watched.
He was invited though. Both he and this I think was a missed opportunity. I think because both he and RFK turned down the invitation. I really wanted to, and I know I'm not alone. I know other people in the campaign really wanted to see Dr. West on the debate stage. It was an issue of scheduling. They said that they had invited him too close to the event, and they had already been booked. I think no, it was before the Edinburgh lectures, but it was sometime before then. But he was already traveling somewhere, and he was already booked for that day. So
That
was
was
just
one of the
unfortunate.
best discussions. Nobody called people names. Nobody said, "Oh, he's terrible." They had actual. Here's a word you don't hear anymore: policy. It was like I'm like, this is what a debate should be. No name calling, no mudslinging, just discussion. So if they do that again, I know Dr. West doesn't watch this program or anything like that, but do it. Do
I
it.
know they've had
It's up to
forums
us to
where
pressure them.
they've had other candidates, but
Town halls.
I think
Yeah.
the biggest issue is that they're not getting Trump and Biden campaigns are going to refuse every single time to ever debate with anyone else
Who cares?
because
Exclude them.
there's
Like now you know
nothing
this.
else.
Yeah, but just exclude them. Be like, well, now you know how it feels.
Right,
You
but
can't come. But
mainstream media will also not cover it as
come.
long as
Yeah,
those
that's
two are
true.
out. So if
That's
those
true.
two don't come, then no mainstream media, and then it's the
That's true.
same as the town halls that we've already had.
Yep. So
Corporate.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Dave. I'm talking about News Nation. That's what the name of the station is. I was like, oh, wait a minute. I got this. Thank you, Kevin. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. Yeah. Corporate media is dead anyway. It would be better that a debate, whether it includes the traditional two-party candidates or not, with a debate amongst the independent and extra duopoly candidates. I think that that would be more popular on Twitter or uh, even Facebook or some other platform, because there are all sorts of platforms out there now. You don't have to rely on that. And it really comes down to, will the campaigns come together to coordinate and do these things? And I'm hoping they will. And I think it would be uh, better for everyone involved to do so.
I
I think
think
Does
there's a
any
residence. I'm not saying the word right, but there is an aversion to platforming another third party because they're afraid of breaking up the third party vote.
you
I
mean the alternate party.
thank you, appreciate that.
But that's because I kept wondering. I'm like CNN. Like, whatever happened to like journalists? Like, did they just disappear and just go somewhere?
Well, media has
around
been intentionally underfunded and set up this way for a couple decades. You can look at Michael Powell, George W. Bush's FCC chairman, and like the noticeable decline in journalism anywhere, let alone especially on the big corporate media, is intentional. But like we were saying earlier, they are stenographers to power. So if they're not going to question them, these two major party candidates, they're not going to question them in their news coverage. They're not going to question them face to face, right? CNN is afraid of looking like biased for Biden anyway to the Trump people. So if they want to get people to care, they have to take it easy on him. I just think it would have been great to see it, but that is not the format. Just like we were talking about, if you wanted real questions, you'd have to go from somewhere smaller or independent. But of course, like Tim said, the candidates would never agree to anything that's has any chance of them getting caught off guard, because we saw what they do when they're planned. I wouldn't be surprised if they had the questions in advance, but they are still awful. So with the odds of somebody, throwing them a curveball, no way.
You know what? You just brought up a good point. They did get a lot of softball. I'm like, I could listen. I have no political, and I'm going to show another clip here in a second. I have no aspirations of running for political office. I'm a terrible public speaker. Um, I get scared and I can't function. I would have beaten those two. You could have put me on that stage and I would have did better than that.
pretty sure you could have put an empty chair and it would have worked better.
Exactly. Just put a chair there and be like, okay, just watch this chair for a couple seconds.
There'd be no lies.
Tell me about it. Oh my goodness. I want to play this clip. I'm going to find it. And I'm trying to find it. It came towards the end, and y'all, I'm struggling to find this. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay. So this clip is talking about why um, Biden ran, and Trump. Biden says that it was Charlottesville. Blah 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 blah. I just want you guys to give me some thoughts on this because this is strange to me. So watch this clip. And
They're right. President Biden?
And debunk. It happened. All you have to do is listen to what we said at the time. And the idea that somehow that's the only reason I ran. I ran because I was worried a guy like this guy could get elected. If he thought there were good people coming out of that forest, carrying those woods, carrying those torches, then he didn't deserve to be president. Didn't deserve to be president at all. And the idea that he's talking about all this being fabricated, we saw with our own eyes. We saw what happened on January 6th. We saw the people breaking through the windows. We saw people occupying his own vice president. Look, there's a reason why 40 of his 44 top cabinet officers refused to endorse him this time. His vice president hasn't endorsed him this time. So why? Why? They know him well. They serve with him. Why are they not endorsing him?
Thank you, President Biden. We're going to be right back with more.
if that ain't the teapot calling the kettle black,
Well, Trump actually later on after they come back and he answers in while it is probably a strong position to attack Trump on his comments on Charlottesville. I forget exactly what comment he was saying was fabricated because that was before the clip, but Trump's rebuttal to that was Joe Biden's Charlottesville is happening all over the world right now. It's happening in Gaza. It's happening in Ukraine. So I think that was a strong counterpunch from Trump as far as how to respond to Charlottesville. Obviously, Charlottesville was an awful thing. I literally lost friends over what happened there because I know people who went there, and I said, "Yeah, I'm sorry. Let's just say some people have bad choices and partners, and they get pulled into certain ideologies and lifestyles, and it's unfortunate. But Charlottesville was awful, but we're seeing something of a huge magnitude of what happened in Charlottesville, and it is absolutely race related. These Western Ukrainians who are in the Azov battalion, who are Nazis, they don't like Slavs, they don't like Mongols, they don't like people who lived in the East, people closer to Russia. They feel that they are Untermenschen. That's what they say. That's their words. So we're talking about those kinds of Nazis, and we're talking about the Zionist Nazis in Gaza. So this is an insidious thing that it sprouts even from here in the United States. But Biden's presiding over it globally right now because he's pushing the proxy war in Ukraine and he's pushing the genocide in Gaza.
anybody got thoughts on that? That's an interesting comment.
So much great stuff there, Dave. It's liberalism in a nutshell, right? People will tell you with a straight face and a tone of voice that the genocide will get worse under Trump. How exactly does a genocide get worse? But our guy is terrible, but there's always a worse option. And if that's not just liberal democracy in a nutshell, it's yes, things are bad here. Look at these two clowns that are running. Our only two choices is what people think, the false choice. Our only two choices are these guys. And so we're just going to settle for them. It could be worse. You could live in communist China, or you could live in Venezuela, or whatever straw man, boogeyman they've got. So like you said, Dave, Trump is worse because he'll do it here close to you. People you know might be in Charlottesville. You don't know people in Gaza, right? So it's worse because it's closer. So that's why people, will defend full-throated Biden, even though he's doing the exact same things you said, Dave.
Not for nothing, but on the East Coast, at least in urban areas, and I would suggest probably not just on the East Coast, because I would bet Michigan has the same thing. People know people in Gaza. The world is not as big as it used to be. It used to be nobody knew anything that was going on. We didn't know what the history of Israel colonization of Palestine was. But people have found those things out, and people they're like, oh, this person who runs the store down the block or the Uber or the whatever, they're like, yeah, I know these people. They've become our neighbors and our friends and throughout all of our communities. Palestinians, when they got pushed out of Palestine, went out, and now they've tried to come back the same way that the Jews in Israel claim, oh, you have a right to return. Why do they have a right to return to some land that was never theirs? And somehow the Palestinians don't have a right to return to the land that was theirs. So, yeah, I think the world has just become a much smaller place because of technology, and all of the lies that were told decades ago are coming out in the open. And we're starting to see that lies kill people. And the longer that lies stick around, the more people die.
Exactly. You know, the one thing they didn't talk about, and you all will want to watch my show next week, because I got to guess he and I disagree about this so much. And I hope he's watching Project 2025. Um, I refuse to be scared. You're not going to scare me. I grew up in the hood, so basically, whatever you do, I'm cool. But I'm surprised they didn't talk about this. I don't know why, but it surprised me. Because the Democrats are definitely using this to scare people. Like, look at what's going to happen if Trump, they're going to just take over. Like, we're just going to sit here and just let them? Like, did you think you could, like, they have a plan. Okay, so why don't you come up with a plan? Like, these are, yeah, watch the show next week because I'm gonna have a lot of things to say, but I'm surprised they didn't talk. They talked about the threat to democracy because we don't have a democracy. We have an oligarchy. But again, another softball question. I don't know why I mentioned that, but I just had to. Um, just get that off of my chest because I just think the Democrats and sometimes Republicans do it too because they actually do this. Both sides, even though they're one coin with two sides, they both use fear as a tactic. Fear is it's like they feed people's fears to get you to vote for them. I think a disturbing thing I heard after this debate was I don't know whether it was Jon Stewart, I don't know who it was, that said, I'd rather have an incoherent president than an evil one. And I'm like, are you. We don't have to have either. We can have a coherent, good president and Dr. Cornel West. We don't have to take either one of those two options. Anybody, somebody talk me down from this one, please.
And that totally flies in the face that not only is Biden incoherent, he is also evil. And we need to point that out more. Joe Biden is a fascist. He is evil. He is not even the lesser evil. If I could give Democrats one piece of campaigning advice, stop telling people to vote for the lesser of two evils if you want them to vote for Jim Crow Genocide Joe. All right? If you do the complicated blood math, who has more blood on their hands? This loudmouth windbag who is in real estate, or a guy who has been for 40 plus years the architect and the carpenter of the white supremacist and carceral state that we live in today? Who is the lesser evil, I ask you?
You better say that one more time. You just told the whole truth. Joe Biden's been in politics. Yeah, I'm going to tell how old I am. I'm 50 years old. This man has been in politics my entire life. What has he actually accomplished? List 1994 crime bill. Made it illegal to put student loan debt in bankruptcies. Once said he didn't want his children to go to school with black children because black children live in cages. Literally told Charlemagne the God, if you vote for Donald Trump and not me, you ain't black. Facts.
He kept kids in cages after he took office, even though he had complained that
Do,
Trump did it.
do you know how many arguments I have gotten into people with that? And I keep saying, there are children in cages right now. Oh, where are you getting that from? And I say, who I got from? Well, they're Russia influenced. I just think some people just want to be lost. I mean, I want you to vote for Dr. West because I think he's the best choice that we have. But these vote blue no matter who people, they're going to be crying election day. They are going to be crying. And if Joe Biden did what he did Thursday, they better throw that towel in because it's over.
I think we've got a big divide in this country in terms of, I'll call it the digital divide, for even though it's not the traditional digital divide, but it used to be that the digital divide was who had access to the internet, who didn't. At this point, it's just people who are my age and a little bit older, so a little bit older than you, Tracy, not much, and then
I'm not old.
continuing on. Like I said, not you, older than you, older than me, but a little bit older than me, and continuing on until the end, are still very much focused on what we used to call broadcast TV. They're still stuck on ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, and Fox, and they're not into everything. Whereas if you look at the millennials and Gen Z, they're unquestionably not getting anything from the traditional media. They're getting everything from online different streaming services. And then Gen X seems to be somewhere in the middle, where it's getting some traditional and some streaming.
Yeah, we're the middle generation. We definitely are.
Yeah. But I
And
think that gives us a benefit.
yeah,
I'm
I
sorry,
would just
continue,
say
Seth.
that if we're going to have a debate, I think it's going to come from the younger side, and therefore I would say, for lack of a better place, I would pick TYT as the most likely place where you could have such a debate, where you
I'm
might have a
gonna,
shot at a Republican or a Democrat, and you could definitely get all the third parties.
I'm gonna disagree with the platform because I think ultimately they're gonna support Biden.
They are. You're probably right.
But a platform like that, like I don't watch his show, I don't like his show, but like a Joe Rogan type of person would be a better fit. One, he gets more people to watch him, and yeah, I just think at the end of the day they're gonna tell you like they did last time, hold your nose for Biden.
You're
That's
right.
my
They're
only.
already doing. They're already doing it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
they're literally already doing it. So I'm like, but I get what you're saying though. I definitely get what you're saying though.
I
I think.
mean,
Go
go
ahead,
ahead.
Jim.
Oh, the Biden apologia is about to hit. Like, I thought it had already peaked, but it might hit peak. Going back to earlier, I do think they're going to swap them out. I think they don't have to announce anything until the convention. So then they'll leave us all in suspense. But I mean, when both evils are so great, why even bother distinguishing which is the greater evil? And the Biden apologists, they're not wrong about, at least especially from their perspective, about like Trump being the greater evil. I'd say only in the short term. I think Biden is the greater long-term evil, just because he puts everybody back to sleep. We were talking about what is the appeal? Why was Biden even on the stage? He is like this numbing agent for the cognitive dissonance that you feel when all of these problems that we have, all of the looming crises, all the active crises. It's like background noise. It's like the cicadas. I don't know if any of you guys had the cicadas this year, but it's buzzing. It's always in your ear. And some of us have tuned in and hear it. Other people don't. So that sense that like this is wrong, things are bad, I need a better choice. If I complain that both guys are terrible and vote for the one that I'm told is the lesser evil, I've done my part. That's all I can do. And Biden is just, I mean, now I'd argue not, but prior to this, just feasible enough, just plausible enough You can go back to whatever it is you were doing before and not have to think about politics anymore.
That's a sad thing because, and the reason I've always hated the lesser of two evil arguments. So if A is evil and B is evil, and you take away A, don't you still have evil left?
Yep.
You still have evil. No matter what, you exactly right. Whichever one of you guys said it. Biden is evil. He's a fascist. Good luck saying that, though. Good luck saying that. So I'm going to share the last clip, and this is the closing. And I'm going to play both of them. So I'm going to try to find it before I, let's see. Because this was like where I thought, you know what? America needs to start listening to us. No, hold on a second. Let me find the exact place. Okay. There we go. This is going to be the last clip, and then we're going to play our fun game. Funny yard signs that the West campaign should consider making. Are we ready to play? And it looks like I am going to be singing. And we can join in too. We can join in. I'm sure you'll know the song that I'll be trying to sing if I can remember the words.
If I know it, I'll join in.
Americans from all over the world.
President Biden, you have 40 seconds left. Would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I would. The idea that somehow we are this failing country. I never heard a president talk like this before. We're the envy of the world. Name me a single major country president who wouldn't trade places with the United States of America for all our problems and all our opportunities. We're the most progressive country in the world in getting things done. We're the strongest country in the world. We're a country in the world who keeps our word, and everybody trusts us. All of our allies, and those who he coddles up to, from Kim Jong Un, we sent love letters to, and Putin, etc. They don't want to screw around with us.
Thank you. Former President Trump, to follow up, you would be 82 at the end of your second term. What do you say to voters who have concerns about your capabilities to serve?
Well, I took 2 tests, cognitive tests. I aced them, both of them, as you know. We made it public. He took none. I'd like to see him take one, just one, a real easy one. Like go through the first 5 questions. He couldn't do it. But I took 2 cognitive tests. I took physical exams every year. And, you know, we knock on wood wherever we may have wood, that I'm in very good health. I just won 2 club championships, not even senior, 2 regular club championships. To do that, you have to be quite smart, and you have to be able to hit the ball a long way. And I do it. He doesn't do it. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. He challenged me to a golf match. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. I think I'm in very good shape. I feel that I'm as in good a shape as I was 25, 30 years ago. Actually, I'm probably a little bit lighter, but I'm in as good a shape as I was years ago. I feel very good. I feel the same. But I was willing to take a cognitive test. And you know what? If I didn't do well, I aced them. Dr. Ronnie Jackson, who's a great guy when he was White House doctor. And then I took another one, a similar one. And one of them said they'd never seen anybody ace him.
Thank you. President Biden?
You can see he is 6'5" and only 223 pounds, or 235 pounds.
I think you just played Biden's biggest lie, where he said we're the most admired country in the world.
Yeah, I got a whole bunch of thoughts about that. I thought that was Biden's best line when he said, you can see he's 6'5" and 225 pounds. Because we can all see Trump maybe, because he's fairly tall. He ain't no 225 pounds.
Absolutely not.
But the America's the most admired country in the world.
On some Seinfeld stuff, it's not a lie because he believes it. right? Him and his people, him and his handlers, him and his voters, his apologists believe that America is the most admired country in the world because, again, it fits with their worldview. If they started questioning that, when does it stop? But right, Western Europe and other parts of the developed world or the West or whatever we're referring to it as, look down on us for not having the social safety net that they have. And with the genocide that is fully ours, it's Biden's genocide. He can pretend like it's not an obfuscate. It's Biden's genocide. The world sees it. The world knows us. Our allies in moving into a multipolar economic world, they're not going to keep putting up with us enabling the enabler when they realize they have other options.
Yep, exactly. So instead of doing the yard sign thing, which we will do, I'm gonna go ahead and sing. This song is dedicated to the DNC for all the tomfoolery that y'all did, all the mess that you have caused. It's turn out the lights, the party's over. Because Dr. West is coming after you. Turn out the lights. The party's over. And I don't know the rest of the words.
Turn out the lights.
I was going to do Hit the Road Jack, but I'm like, ooh, that means walking, and Biden ain't the walking.
Yeah, but he likes to call people Jack. He does like to say, listen, Jack. I think his line of the night, though, and beautiful vocals, by the way, Tracy.
Yeah, top notch. Aretha Franklin ain't got nothing on me. I'm telling y'all right now.
We finally beat Medicare. We finally beat Medicare. And you know, that's technically a gaffe. It's not just him being senile. They did beat Medicare, and carrying on with Trump's policy of direct contracting entities, privatizing Medicare, and putting that in the hands of Cigna and other private insurance companies. So yeah, he did. He beat Medicare.
That's gonna be on so many commercials.
I want a T-shirt. We finally beat Medicare.
So, you guys, Tim, John, either one of you? Okay. So, this is the portion where we play funny yard signs that the Dr. West Abdullah campaign can use. These will probably never get used. This is for humor only. But I got one, a question mark. Just a question mark. Don't put anything else. Just a question mark. Then CornelWest2024.com.
I got one. Cornel West. I am that I am.
Funny. You guys don't have posters? I got plenty. How about this one? They could have did way better than this. Or, no. I could have did this. CornelWest2024.com.
I've been very partial recently to No Evil 2024. Dr. Cornel West 2024.com. How about that?
Y'all being serious. I mean, I want some ones that are just like we know Stop Genocide. We know all those. How about this one? Will Joe Biden ever open his eyes?
I've got one that they're making on Instagram, and it goes something like anti-white supremacy campaign, justice for all, West Abdullah 2024.
Because, hey, it can get worse with these two.
I kept seeing Biden as the old preacher from Poltergeist 2 at the screen door. You're doomed. I'd like to see some ads that superimpose his face there. It just fit right in.
I said I was gonna do funny yard signs because apparently y'all not as funny. Because I literally sat down. I was like, okay, let me do this one more. Are they kidding me? Just are they kidding me? Or they gotta be joking. Or are they serious? Or my dog could have did better than this.
How about give a brother a chance or GTFOH?
Wait a minute. GTFOH.
We can't say it on air.
Put it in the comments because I'm sitting there like G. Oh, you know I ain't gonna catch on to that one because I'm like, wait a minute. So y'all good with spending all this money overseas and you ain't getting nothing? See, serious, but thought provoking. Tim just disappeared. Hopefully he'll come back. But this debate. Oh well, David's gone too. So it's just you, me, Jim. Oh wait a minute. There's Tim coming right back. We're like he just left. What did we say?
It was the chat. Once I went to the chat, it got knocked down. I had to explain what GTFO.
Yeah, because I'm still like put it in Slack because I'm like
get the F out here.
Oh, got it. Now I'm under siege. See, y'all know I'm a little. I sometimes live in different decades in terms of my background, and now it's making see. Okay, now okay, got it. I think the one thing that I learned about this debate is that, especially the Democrats, if they seriously believe that Joe Biden did well at the debate, I don't know what they're smoking. You can't be. Go ahead.
I don't think anybody has. I mean, I've heard that there are apologists who've tried to say he wasn't that bad, but I haven't actually heard anybody say that he wasn't bad. They've just tried to explain why he wasn't.
He had a cold. Okay, so he had a cold, right? And Trump was terrible. Let's just say this: both of them were terrible. But so now, okay, so we keep losing people, but I think he
I'll tell you what
goodbye.
it is. It's coming back out of the chat, knocks you out of the
You got to have two devices to do that. You got to have like two, like your phone and your. Yeah, I learned how to do that a long time ago. But you guys didn't watch Jill Biden telling him how well he did? No, I'm gonna find this one.
I found it. Was that for real? I thought it was a joke because it was something like it looked like she was like, "You want a cookie?"
She literally, and you did so
like
well.
Dog treat.
He had a cold. Okay, I just got over a chest cold, which is the most terrible cold that you could have because it feels like your lungs are just collide, like they're just coming in, and you can't breathe. Even with a cold, I wouldn't have done that. A cold, a regular one. Like, what type of cold is this that caused that type of performance?
I could have been intubated with the tube all the way down my throat and done better.
That is just, I'm like, you guys didn't see Joe Scarborough either?
No, I haven't seen his coat, but I'm sure it's very sad.
Yes, Morning Joe. And he was like, he's cognitive and he's like, dude, are you gonna cry?
You do. Morning Joe is supposedly the station that Biden watches. So as opposed to you used to have when Trump was in office, it was always what's his name, Hannity, that Trump was always paying attention to. Joe Scarborough is like the Biden whisperer on TV now.
The fact that the vote blue no matter who crowd is trying to spin this should make Americans mad. America, and I didn't realize how long we went. America, you need to dish the duopoly. Support Dr. Cornel West, who actually has a platform, who's actually cognitive, who's actually cares about you. Stop voting for the lesser of two evils because you will still have evil left. Vote for something good.
From a historical perspective, I would say that we have a few different models that we can point to that suggest where we're at here in this nation right now. We're either more or less mirroring the Weimar Republic right before it fell to the Nazi regime, or we're mirroring the I guess it was the Democrats that were in power right before the Civil War, where the abolitionists, a third party, rose because the Democrats and the Whigs were unwilling to deal with the unrest and the problems that were going on in this country. We currently are in a situation where there's no question that Biden and Trump are both on the same side of things. RFK clearly appears to be somewhere between the two of them as opposed to outside of that mix. And what we're starting to see is a big push away from people of color having any kind of voice coming from the Green Party that just says, you know what, we're going to quiet down those people of color over there, and we're going to tell everybody that the white people get ballot access and the people of color candidates don't get ballot access. And we don't care that we're still in the process of signature carrying. We're going to just lie to people outright, which is what Dr. Jill Stein is doing currently.
And again, this show is about Dr. Cornel West. Oh, wait a minute. We got a new person in the comments. Hold on. Nelson. One was vomit and the other was diarrhea. That is the... You know what? Nelson, you came in late, but you came in strong. Because that's exactly... Because it's either it's coming out or it's going... Wait a minute. Vomit... No, they both come out.
They're both going in, yeah. They both go out.
They both go out. That's right. They both need to go out. Both of these clowns do not deserve to be in the White House. Neither of them. And thank you, Nelson, for checking in. David, anything else you want to say?
I was particularly struck by the question they were asked about fentanyl, because what they were asked specifically is, what are you going to do to try and help people who have addictions or people who are falling prey to that because they're suffering from diseases of despair? And both of them pivoted to the border. Biden says we've got machines at the border. We need the money for these machines at the border to catch the fentanyl coming in. And Trump says we got dogs. We got the most beautiful dogs you ever saw. We got them down there to find them. Seriously. And both of them missed the point of the question. What are you going to do to help the people who are affected directly? And we all know, if you pay attention to U.S. history or drug culture at all, the drugs are here because the U.S. government brings them here. The CIA flooded inner cities with crack in the late 70s, early 80s.
Nuh-uh.
And then Joe Biden came along and made it even more illegal to have, you get 10 times what it would be your sentence if you had powder cocaine. So he's specifically trying to target inner cities where they put those drugs there. We know that the heroin explosion that's happened in this country has happened because we were occupying Afghanistan for about 20 years, and we were working with drug lords and poppy field owners over there, and we were putting those drugs in dead soldiers' caskets and bringing them back here to sell. That's how these drugs get here. So for them to act like, well, we don't know how we're going to work harder at the border they didn't address the actual question. What are you going to do to help the people? And this is a serious crisis that's hitting everybody. It's hitting everybody. They said, oh, the border.
Don't think that the fentanyl was by accident that it suddenly appeared. They knew that they were winding down in Afghanistan, which was the heroin supply. They needed to come back with a synthetic version.
Our government is evil.
Yes.
I mean, I get a lot of attacks for saying that the Constitution is trash. I'm going to stand on that. And I stand on that for this reason. First of all, you can't say it takes three of me to make one person. Can we just say that it literally, the Constitution says it takes three of me, somebody that did this here color, look like this shade, to make one person. This is the document that you want to uphold?
Not quite the math, but pretty close.
Yeah, 3/5 or something like that.
Yeah.
I know what I'm saying. Basically, one black person isn't one black person.
Right.
It takes, I thought it was 3 out of 5.
It's 3/5. So if you were going to do the math, theoretically, 2 black people is more than 1 white person, but 1 black person is less than any white person. That's the way they said it.
That's our government.
I don't agree with it. I'm just explaining it.
You understand. But I'm like, our whole government is terrible. And the fact, I think what we need to work on in terms of volunteers, and again, go to, and I'm going to bring up this site. Well, actually, go to this site. Go to this one right here. Go to that donate site. Drop $5. $5 is not, if $5 hurts you, I understand. But, you know, when you get $5, put it in the mail and fill out that form that you have to fill out. But anything that you can contribute to this campaign is needed. Anything that you can contribute to this candidacy is needed. This is a solid platform, a solid vision, a vision that I have never seen from any candidate. I don't want to smash the Green Party because that's not what this podcast is about, but I don't see any alternative candidate talking about eliminating homelessness. I haven't heard. Now, somebody will probably point out, was like, well, they alluded to it. No. Eliminating poverty is in the platform. You will not find a stronger platform than that of Dr. West and Dr. Abdullah. Period. So drop your $5.
If we go back to, and this shows my age, but if we go back to the 1980 presidential debates, Republican presidential debates, you had George Bush Sr. debating Ronald Reagan, and Ronald Reagan was explaining the economic system whereby they stop taxing the rich and they start taxing the poor, and somehow that works out that the poor do better. Essentially, they called it trickle-down economics, and George Bush Sr. called it voodoo economics, until he became part of the White House administration and then eventually became president himself and continued to push deregulation, the lowering of taxes for the rich, the removal of corporate taxes largely, and they cut out all the money that was paying for all of our government funding for anything positive in the world. So when I hear about how my father grew up and the times when he was there, he would tell me that he played sports. I played sports growing up. My son played sports. When my father went to play a basketball game, they would go on a coach bus. They would go out for a steak dinner and potatoes before the game, and then they'd play their game, whatever. That was all covered. When I went, we went on school buses, and there was no, like, maybe you brought your own food and that was whatever. When my son was doing it, it was traveling on subways and city buses. This is how things have devolved from one generation to the next. We're not investing in younger people. We're creating a greater and greater financial divide and disparity between generations. as well as between the very wealthy and the regular people.
And you just had a great point in terms of the so-called border crisis, which call me whatever you want to call me. It's there. There's no border crisis, in my
There isn't.
opinion.
Nope.
This notion of trying to divide the races is very intentional, right?
Yes.
You can come from any country and get a loan to start a business. Essentially, doesn't matter whether you're from Afghanistan, a country in Africa. Hey, it doesn't matter. We can't get that. Our credit scores have to be a certain thing. It's intentional.
Yes.
White supremacy is intentional. It's done on purpose to have us fight over the little scraps while they're eating steak. We get a piece of bologna and we're fighting over it. When we should be getting the steak and make them, I'm going to leave that alone.
Now you understand why I've, throughout this particular show, continued to focus on the split is not a split between the traditional duopoly and the third parties, as it were, but rather it's a split between the white privilege and white supremacy and people of color. And as long as we don't make that split there, we'll be continuing to fight about whether or not we're doing as good as somebody who's already has white privilege and is not supporting the platform and the ideals that Cornel West is running for.
Exactly. And, this campaign, I wish we would go to the fairness doctrine where, you had to, if you were going to present one candidate, you had to present the other candidates.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan, can I just say this before we go? Ronald Reagan, like every president after Ronald Reagan was some iteration of Ronald Reagan. You had George Sr., he was Reagan Jr. Then you had George W. Bush was a version of Reagan. Then you had Obama, he was the black Reagan. Then you had, you had Clinton was the cool Reagan. Then you had Bush, that was the not so smart Reagan. Then you had Obama, he was the black Reagan. Then after Obama, you had Trump, that's the dumb Reagan. And now you got another, it's like all Reagan.
Biden's like more Reagan than Reagan. It's like White Zombie. He's more Reagan than Reagan. Seriously, he pushed Reagan to be more hawkish on the drug war.
Yeah, you're bad when Reagan's like, ooh, that's a little bit too racist, Joe. You went too far with that. You might want to ease up off of that racism. And surprisingly, Kamala Harris called him racist. But he's not anymore. But guys, we've had these debates. Now, I'll let you guys give your final summation of the debates and why it is you're still supporting Dr. West, even though some people say he has no chance of winning. Either one of you can go ahead with that, and then I'm going to kind of give my thoughts.
I think that I would just like to repeat what Dr. West said, and that's one of the reasons I'm supporting. And when it comes to this debate, neither one of them talked about poverty. Neither one of them talked about the genocide in Gaza. Neither one of them talked about issues that American people really care about. And I'm backing a candidate who does talk about those things.
Timothy.
I've been voting, relatively progressive throughout the course of my life. I've gotten to this stage where I could easily say, oh, I'm kind of progressive by going with various other candidates. But it really comes down to, we keep talking about voting for good versus evil. And as long as I'm able to continue to put candidates in the evil category, I'm not going to vote for them. And I'm running out of people who are not in the evil category. So I'm very happy and very proud and honored to support Dr. Cornel West. But to a large extent, I don't feel like I have any other choice in this lifetime at this moment, because there is no one else that remotely is worth supporting.
Besides Dr. Abdullah.
They're on the same ticket.
But they're on the same ticket. Here are my thoughts, everybody. And I've been telling people this everywhere I go. Y'all need to start listening to me. In 2020, I told you that these are two clowns, and neither one of them deserved office, which is why I wrote in Howie Hawkins. Stop telling me that an alternative candidate cannot win. I refuse to believe it. I'm going to vote my conscience. I'm going to vote for someone who I know doesn't want to see children slaughtered in Gaza. That thinks that an Israeli baby is just as precious as a Gaza baby or a Palestinian baby. I'm going to vote for someone that puts, I'll just say it, chocolate people is a priority for him. And not some just, we'll see you every 2 to 4 years and we know you'll vote for us. I'm tired of people voting the same way and somehow you think that your result is going to be different. It will not be. This debate should have proven to you we have better choices. And that better choice is Dr. Cornel West. There is no candidate that stands heads and shoulders above his humanity or his intellect. And it frustrates me because I know people want to vote for an alternative party. I know it because they say, oh, well, these two aren't right. Stop being scared. Just vote for Dr. West. It's going to be okay, despite the people that wrote that tell you that if Trump gets in, Project 2025 is going to be here to stay and we will lose our government. You know what? If this is my last vote, I'm going down swinging. Of course, I believe we'll have elections in 2028, but that's just me. But if this is my last vote, I'm going down with a vote for somebody that I can trust. I don't trust Biden. I don't trust Trump. I don't trust RFK. Period. That's what I want to say. And with that, we got a comment. It's just simple. Cornel West is the best above the rest. I love the writing scheme. So, I want to thank everybody. And normally I don't promote my regular podcast on this show because I exclusively keep this show Dr. West. However, you want to tune into my Tuesday show because I got more things to say that I didn't say on this program that I'm going to say there. I'm telling you, everything I say is going to be the truth. But again, because I keep this show, try to keep it focused on Dr. West, that's my objective. That's what I'm going to do. But tune in Tuesday. I believe it's going to be 6:45, 7, somewhere between there. For that special show, I'll be talking, I think, about Julian Assange, and he's finally free. Although some of the circumstances, I'm still scratching my head, but nevertheless, he's heading back to Australia. But I want to thank everybody for watching this, and I promise I will not do a show next week. I will not do a show next week. I'm telling you now, if I do, it's got to be something major, like they swapped out Joe Biden and replaced him with somebody else. It's got to be that major for me to come on here and talk about it. So no show next week. What did you say?
Nothing. I didn't say anything.
Oh, I was like, what? There will not be a show next week. We will pick up back July the 13th, which you definitely want to watch that interview, because we're gonna be talking a lot of Project 2025, even though, again, my guest and I have two totally different opinions. You already know my opinion, so you can guess the other person's. Remember to like this video. Share this video. Comment on it. Have a great evening. I immensely enjoyed this discussion about the debate. And remember, everybody, go West.